love being the boss, don't you?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. That's lovely. Thank you. You like that energy. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Hear This Your Church. I will always remind you, you haven't come to see us working. We can only work with the energies, the presence, and the personalities that you yourselves bring into the church. So you are the stars. So Anne-Marie and I are going to sit out there and you will take it in turns come up here.
I would love sitting out there. I love being a spectator sometimes, all the time.
Very informative, isn't it? Yes, so a very warm welcome, especially to people first time with us. Thank you for trying us. I always say, if you come and try us and it works for you, great. If you come and try us and it doesn't work for you, great, because you're basing that experience on actual experience, not sitting there thinking, oh, I don't think I'll like it. So welcome. Big warm welcome to our friends online watching us. Slight technical hitch today. We're not on the church Facebook page, we're on my personal page, and of course our YouTube channel. For those of you in the congregation, just be aware that the camera is only focused on the platform. We do not include the congregation online for your own privacy, your own comfort, your own respect. I'm running out of breath up here. Great delight to welcome
Real
back
pleasure.
the lovely Anne-Marie Hogan, DSNU, diploma holder with the Spiritualist National Union.
No pressure.
No pressure, yeah, mounting up. Anne-Marie, thank you for stepping in
It's
today.
a real pleasure, absolute pleasure, it really is.
Some of you may have noticed our schedule this month has been hit by a few postponements within our calendar. We were to have somebody whose heart and soul is in philosophy. Unfortunately, they can't be with us today. But we have another person whose heart and soul is in the philosophy of spiritualism. So couldn't have worked out better. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's a pleasure, real pleasure.
I will now shut up. You normally go, oh, thank God for that.
I thought you were taking the service.
No. I'm going to hand over to Anne-Marie now for the opening blessing.
Okay,
Thank you, my darling.
If I can ask you to join me in the opening prayer. Divine Spirit, as we join together as one, working together in peace and harmony, and showing that life is continuous, and the love that you had for us in this world is grown to unconditional love from the world of spirit. We ask that you join us in peace and harmony to show that life is continuous and that we are forever one world and not two. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Anne-Marie. And if you care to, please join in with saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not when in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. And we now bring our hearts, our minds, our very intent to the art of healing. Healing is not a gift bestowed upon a few. Healing is nothing that has to be learned in a classroom. Healing is just that natural expression of love, that one gift that we are all able to do. Where we express that love is led by our own heart. So during this time, you are drawn to the animal kingdom, to your friends, families, nations, leaders, and ourselves. Please just follow that route. Follow that path your heart leads you upon. And just give love, pure and simple. No special words, no magic spells. Just have love in your hearts. And during this time, if there is anybody that you are aware of who is in need of a special mention, simply raise your arm. And when I point to you, please just call out their name. That is all that is required. The intelligence of spirit knows and understands and acts accordingly. So enjoy this time of peace, of contemplation, of meditation, and that natural expression of that divine love which resides within each and every one of us. Thank you. Divine and infinite Spirit, that whom we call God of our own understandings, we thank you for this time to express that love and compassion that we have for all. And we take with us too that reminder that that expression of love has no single time nor space to be worked with. It is available to us each and every day. Amen. Now I'd like to invite the lovely Anne-Marie up for her reading, followed by the philosophy. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. I must confess I'm a bit of a fan of the Chicken and Soup books, hence Chicken and Soup books. And this one is for teenagers. And we know that teenagers can be wonderful, can't they, at the best of times. So this one is called Smile. She smiled at a sorrowful stranger. The smile seemed to make him feel better. He remembered past kindness of a friend and wrote him a thank you letter. The friend was so pleased with the thank you letter that he left a large tip after his lunch. The waitress, surprised by the size of the tip, bet the whole thing on a hunch. The next day she picked up her winnings and gave part to a man on the street. The man on the street was so grateful. For 2 days he had nothing to eat. After he finished his dinner, he left for his room. On the way, he picked up a shivering puppy and took him home to get warm. The puppy was very grateful to be out of the storm. That night, the house caught on fire. The puppy barked the alarm. He barked till he woke the whole household and saved everybody from harm. One of the boys that he rescued grew up to be president. All this because of a simple smile that hadn't cost a cent. And that was written by a lady called Barbara Hawke, aged 13. Yet she knew that a simple smile can change somebody's life, that leads on changing to other people's lives. Just like the ebb and flow of the sea, of the natural water coming in and going out. Each one of us has the ability not only to change our own lives, but to change the lives of others. Yet we may not see that transformation or understand why the difference is that we have made. But we do make differences. We make differences to people's lives in ways that we will never understand. You can't force a smile, but you can have one on your face. Last week, I was there getting my petrol at a petrol station, and I realised I had 2 coupons. I wasn't going to use both of them. And this lady drove up in her car. And I went, "Oh, I've got 2 of these. Would you like one?" And she went, "Oh, yes, please." I was shocked by her reaction. I thought it was just a piece of paper. And then she rushed to the passenger side of her car. And she was showing the gentleman that was there this coupon. And then she came up to me and she said, "I needed someone to show us a kindness." That's all she said, and I was like, okay, that's lovely. And then when I got to drive off, she looked at me, held up this little coupon and said, "Thank you so much." I will never know why that little gift was so important to her. But that's what each one of us carries inside, is gifts that should be not wrapped up. Our gifts should be open to share with ourselves and to share with others. There are times that we will need to be selfish. And that sharing, that goodness that you have within inside you, with self. And in doing that, you allow yourselves to grow. You allow yourselves to know that you can believe in something different. That you have the right to be kind to yourself. And in being kind to yourself, you open the doorway to love and kindness. For surely love is a seed that each one of us holds inside. Sometimes scared to show that love that we have within inside. But here with us, in our understanding and our belief system, not only are we showing the love of self to another, we are showing love from the spirit world to another. You may not know what their beliefs are, but yet you are opening a door to the world of spirit. And I'm not saying that they will walk into a spiritualist church, but that would be wonderful. But if each one of us can be spirit and spiritual in our everyday life, surely that one smile that led on to all those amazing things can come to fruition. For the spirit world does not want to dictate to our world what we should and shouldn't be doing. What they want to do is share their love, share their belief that life is eternal and that life goes on when we leave this world. For surely we go home from our place today. And then when we leave our physical body, we go to another home. We go to another transformation. But yet we are still who we are from that essence, from that belief system that we have inside. And surely it shouldn't be inside. It should be represented by the smile or the gestures that we do. For how many of us do those so naturally that we change a person's life? And we do that. The simplest of tasks can change somebody's thought pattern, somebody's understanding of who they are. You can open that box with inside them, that gift that they have hidden away. For we don't have the right to hide. We can't put a mask on and say, this is who I am. Take that mask off and be true to yourself. For being true to yourselves, you can take those steps. You can take those steps on that pathway that is yours. There are going to be times when you think you are walking into thistles, but it's your pathway. It's you going on a journey that is unique to you. You may meet me on your pathway, and I can hold a hand out to you and say, everything's going to be okay. And you can travel on your journey, reaching for the skies. We may all not become presidents of our countries, but surely we are presidents of our own life, guiding ourselves on a journey that is right for us. Sometimes we're going to have to make choices where we feel, oh, gosh, I've let somebody down. And it isn't that you've let them down. You've asked them to open a new doorway. A doorway that is right for them. Because for being selfish is not wrong. Being hungry for love is not wrong. Open your hearts and your minds to receive that love, to receive that seed that needs to be embedded within inside you. Nourish it, water it, and watch it grow and turn yourselves into humanity itself. We hear lots of bad things, but I'm also pleased to say we hear lots of great things. Lots of great things that I may not understand at this moment in time. I was talking to a colleague on Friday at work, and we were discussing something. And then she suddenly said, well, if there's no team, there's no dream. And I thought, wow, how powerful is that? Because we work so closely with our team in the spirit world. We work so closely, showing that there is more to this world than we can see. But yet, do we appreciate the team that we are working with in this world with one another? We can bicker and we can argue. But the one thing we must remember is working as a team in this world is as great as the team that is in the spirit world. And why is that? Because if we join together as a team, how loud is the voice of the spirit world? How loud is their voice, rather than one person standing here and saying, I am the voice of the spirit world? Or if there was 20 of us here working as a team, saying we are the voices of the spirit world. Surely if we can unite in this way, then we can unite as mankind. We can unite in this world and bring the harmony that this world needs and the peace that this world needs. We haven't got the right to put spirit or spiritualism in walls, in rooms like this. We have the right to open the windows and the doors and let the power of spirit resonate throughout this world, throughout this universe. We talk of universal love from the spirit world, but do we actually believe it? Do we need that evidence of the love of spirit? Well, I see it before me in each and every one of you. And if we join together and unite together, each one of us is that voice of spirit, but the living spirit in this world. And that is somebody that we cannot forget or hide away. For without us recognizing our own spirit, surely the spirit world can't work with us, because it has to be spirit to spirit. We are very good at putting labels on things in this world, and yet we say we don't, but we do. I'm labelled a medium, and I love that now. One time I didn't, but I do love it now, because I can speak. And if I can speak, so then can each one of us here. Because each one of us has that voice. Each one of us has that heartbeat that is inside, that resonates with me, that resonates with the spirit world. And imagine if each one of us here went out and done one act of kindness, and I know that we do. But if we done that as a team thought, how powerful is that? For each one of us is on a journey that will take us into unknowns, that will take us into change. But each time we do that, that seed of love that we placed within inside is fundamentally growing. It may feel at times that it's withered and waned, but the one thing that will remain there is the seed of love. For you can't lose love. It is for each and every one of us to join together as a team, to have each one another's dreams manifest themselves, but also the dreams of the spirit world. For surely they have a dream that we can live in peace and harmony, that we can work together as they work together. We mustn't forget how important we are in the process of the spirit world linking with us and being with us and guiding and helping us. So many times we place restrictions on our own life. We place ourselves in four walls. I say, don't. Open that door and have the courage to walk through it as the person that you know you should be. No hiding, no mask on your face. Be true to yourselves as you are true to the spirit world. For each one of us here has experienced the spirit world. We've had evidence that our loved ones continue, that they may no longer be in a physical format, but they are with us. But I say, please don't forget that each one of us here is together. Each one of us here is a member of a team. So remember, no team, no dream. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. We now move on to our piece of music for today. If you wish to join in singing it, please do. Read the words, because I just love the way these services fall together, because it's very supportive, obviously, of the message that Spirit wants to get to us today. During this time, the lovely Nikki will be taking the collection for the further work of this your church. Enjoy.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability. You're capable of anything. You can achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control of how you feel in every circumstance. Work on yourself daily. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you.
Excuse the giggling going on up here. I prepared the music this morning on my own. Anne-Marie had no idea what the music was, but obviously somebody did. So it's great, isn't it?
I'm just glad you could play that. The first one, it was just so apt afterwards,
I know.
wasn't it? It was just.
Team spirit.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
oh. Oh, look out, we got a clever one here. We go. Don't-
And why not show your cleverness as well?
We now move on to that part of the service of the evidential mediumship. As we always remind you, and indeed was picked up in the theme of the address, it is about that communication and it is about being part of that conversation. Is it not?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, if Anne-Marie should come to you, a nice clear yes, no or maybe will engender and help that communication to blossom and thrive and bring that presence through to you. So it's a
Yes.
No. Maybe.
the new people are looking at me going, what have we walked into here? And is it too late to run away? Yes it is, the doors are locked. Anne-Marie, my darling, over
Okay,
to you.
thank you very much. And actually, I don't mind what you say, whether it's yes, no, or maybe. I must admit, I think we restrict ourselves as the medium because we do need to hear your voices, and we say just say yes, no, or maybe. If my father and my nan comes through, you won't shut me. You won't get me being quiet. I'll say it that way. So I just love talking with them. But as I was sitting there, I was very much aware of a lady and gentleman, and I know that this has to be mum and dad, but they've also got that nan and granddad feel as well with them. So let me just work with them. I know I've got quite a cantankerous man, I must say. I know I've got somebody who was very man of the house. He wanted his voice heard and he wanted his presence felt. But I feel that very much that as much as he tried to rule the house, I know mum was very much in charge of the house and that she was the one that wore the trousers. I know that nan would have been, or certainly, I keep saying nan, but mum as well, so I'm not quite sure who I've got here with me, but I know she would have been like to dress very presentable and very smart, because I know that I would have worn trousers around the house or trousers for my everyday, but when I went out somewhere special, I know I would have been the sort of lady that would have worn a dress, certainly a cardigan, if not a jacket there as well. I also know that I would have had the handbag as well. I would have had my good handbag with me, and I wanted to say this lady was, I mean, Dad or Granddad would have been working away in the background, because that's how he's making me feel, because I know that she would have been the voice of the house. Can anybody understand this? At this moment in time, thank you very much. I'm one of those that still wishes that she knew what direction she was going in, but you would understand all of that as well, with him being quite cantankerous as well, and it would have been as if that was his opening line: I'm here and I'm going to make my presence and I'm going to disappear into the background. Why? It's mum and dad, isn't it? Yeah, but they had to have been nan and granddads as well. They had to have been they must have had grandchildren. Yeah, okay, that's fine, because I just know that they're making me feel as well that there was a generation with them as well, because I know that mum, they must have both had complications before they went to the spirit world. Does that make sense to you? I know that it's as if both of them struggled with their health, and it was, a relief for them to leave that physical body towards the end of their lives. Does that make sense to you? I know that there was a sadness when he passed, but when Mum passed, there had to be grief because it was as if there was a real longing there. Does that make sense to you?
It's quite a shock.
Yeah, okay, because I'm just knowing that it's as if Mum's heart just gave out in the end. Literally, just, you know, I was here 1 minute and gone the next, and that's how I'm feeling with her there as well. I know that gosh, would there be more than Mum and Dad that would want to come through and speak to you today? Because I know I actually feel like I'm sensing 3 or 4 people that would want to come through and speak to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
because I'm just aware of that. But it's as if I'm just saying one person. So I know that Mum's there as the vocal point. I know I've got a very smartly dressed lady with me, and again, she's making me aware of that was part of her, how she was and how her makeup was as well. Because I know that I would have been a lady that would have worn very little makeup. At times, if any at all, with her. But even if I went shopping, I like to be smartly dressed. Even though it was casual, but it was smartly dressed with her as well. And she keeps talking to me about baking as well, and I'm getting a mixture of it being either very good or just awful. Yeah, because I'm just seeing, but there has to have been somebody in the family that could bake. Because I'm seeing, like, right, okay. Can I say, did she buy her cakes and biscuits and then everybody thought she made them?
No, I don't think she did that.
Right, okay, just bear with me. Can anybody understand a lady in the spirit world that would have baked? Her baking skills would have been good, but also her cooking wasn't that great. Okay, let me just work with this.
Not great,
That's definitely her, because I'm just being made aware. It was as if it was nice when we went out and ate elsewhere. Does that make sense to you? But right, okay. When you grew up and started learning to cook for yourself, did you become the baker in the house? You can cook.
I think it might be my sister who used to do it. She's the eldest.
Right, okay, it's like there was a person there who could bake and who could cook, and then there was Mum's cooking.
I did as I got older, yes.
Okay, because I just know that there's like, I can see the good food and I can see this other food there as well. But Mum wasn't very good at expressing her feelings. Does that make sense to you? She could be, again, quite, she would have her moments. Does that make sense to you?
She's very quietly spoken, but every now and again she'd have a bit of
A hissy fit, can I just call it that way? Because they seemed a bit like a volcano coming up there with her now. So I'm just asking while she's coming through, and it's as if you need to stand up for yourself at this moment in time. Does that make sense to you? There's a situation that is occurring where you're going, right, okay, but it's as if you need to give yourself time to find your voice. Does that make sense to you? It's as if it's not just right now, but just allow things to manifest as they should. Does that make sense to you?
It's to do with a medical thing.
Oh, okay, they don't.
I know.
Okay, it's to do where it's to do where somebody's writing some notes about you. Does that make sense to you? And it's about, right, okay. I'm going to say yes, okay, because it's as if things are going to be okay. Does that make sense to you? Once you get that written statement, okay, and you understand what's happening with you. Does that make sense to you? Because it's as if there's unknowns at this moment in time, and it's as if they're just saying, right, okay, this is it. This is what we now need to do, and it's that decision you're waiting for. Does that make sense to you? Okay, but it's coming and it's in the now, but you also need to find your voice in that situation. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I know I've got a gentleman here, and I'm also aware of this other lady that's here. Can I ask, did your mum used to bake?
Yes.
In cook, right? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. It's just, I just got it there. It's right. Okay. That's, yeah, your mum used to cook and bake,
Oh,
didn't she? With her, and I believe I brought his mum through before, haven't I?
You
Yeah,
have.
okay.
Thank you.
So just bear with me, because I know she would want, if she had something to say, she would want to kind of push her way forward to the front of the queue sometimes. When I thought I had this gentleman here, and I know I have this gentleman here as well, and I know this gentleman is taller than me. He's not related to you. I feel he's a communicator, but it's as if Mum's saying, I just want to come in and let him know also that everything's going to be okay. Does that make sense to you?
Thank you.
Because very forthright person. And did she have problems with her vision towards the end? Because it's, I'm saying, I just want different information, and she's making me aware that her vision was very limited towards the end of her life. But even though she couldn't see, she was still very good at giving out orders and telling people what they should be doing, but also knowing that they weren't doing what she said that she asked them to do. Because again, I want to say this lady was very intuitive and very knowing as well, and had lots of knowledge that she had gained through life rather than education. Does that make sense to you? Because gosh, I want to say this lady was sensible, but not all of the time, because it's as if I would make my own rules up as I was going along, and it's as if she sorted everybody out down here, but she would be doing the same she'd sort God out. Does that make sense to you? Because it's as if she's saying that I'm very much, I'm making all the rules as I'm going along, and that's what she done here is, you thought the rules were 1 to 10, but she would add 12, 13, 14 and miss one out, and that's the one that you would get wrong most of the time because you didn't know about it. But she said, I made his life so frustrating. Does that make sense?
There were times.
Yeah, because she's just making me aware that she's bringing that through, because I'm just asking now why she's come through, and it's as if you just need the laughter at this moment in time. You very much need the laughter because he can get too serious sometimes, God saying. It's as if she just wants to bring that laughter in, and she's also saying to me that whatever you're thinking about, you do have the knowledge. Okay, whatever you're thinking about changing, you do have the knowledge. The one thing you don't have is patience.
Correct.
And that's what you're going to have over this to get the resolution. Okay.
Not going to happen.
Okay. Oh
Just
gosh,
realised
she's
I've turned
showing
into
me
my mother.
shopping bags now with her, because she's just showing me shopping bags, and there has to be memories of her using you as a shopping bag, carrying the shopping home from the shops, and even if they weren't heavy, it was all like that was your role, that you had to carry the shopping bags while she was able to do what she wanted to do. And she was very good at going, get the ketchup in the supermarket. It's as if you were the errand boy running around there afterwards. And I want to say, gosh, there has to be memories or photos of you wearing shorts.
Few and far between.
Because she's just making me aware that this was when you were much younger, and it was a memory link there that she's coming through. Because it's as if she's saying, there were some good times, there were some happy times, there were some smiley times, and it's as if she just wants you to know that this transition that you're going through now, there's going to be happy times again, there's going to be lots more smiles on your face, and it's as if, she's very good at giving evidence and bits of messages, isn't she? And she's very knowledgeable of how to work in spirit with what she's doing, but she's given me a long, and I just keep saying to her, thank you very much, but she could talk and talk and talk. Does that make sense to you?
She'll finish when she wants to finish.
Yeah, absolutely there. So thank you very much there, but she was I was aware that she was staying in. There was another lady there. Okay, so as I'm linking in now, I'm very much aware that I have a gentleman. Oh, and she's going to come back more until the full message gets through, by the way. Yeah, she doesn't like being limited, does she? No. Okay. So I know I've got a taller gentleman with me. I know I've got a taller gentleman. I know I'm seeing him in his, gosh, I want to say in his 50s, but I feel very much that he would have passed to the spirit world in much later than that with himself. I know I've got a gentleman that would have had Catholicism in his life because he's making me aware of getting dressed up for Sundays and going to the Sunday service that was within their church as well. And I know that there would have been family with him because he's making me aware of the family coming along. So I know that the person, this one, I feel like it's for a daughter, I must say, is that he's making me aware that their beliefs now and their religious beliefs are very different to when they grew up there. I also know, as I'm linking with this gentleman, that I would have been a manual worker, and I like doing bits of DIY around the house. I wasn't expected, but I'd done a fairly good job, so I know that that's there with him as well. I also know with him that I'm seeing very polished shoes. So I know I'm seeing some sort of service that he would have done, and I was just about to say army, and I know that's not correct. Can anybody understand this gentleman? I know that the name Frank would be very significant within the family as well. Let's just see where we're going with this gentleman. I know I've got a gentleman. I'm not still with you, am I? No. Okay. I've got a gentleman here that's got a good head of hair when he passed to the spirit world. So I know I still had hair on my head. I also know that as I'm linking with this gentleman, I would have had problems. Eating, or there would have been a digestive problem with me eating towards the end of my life. Can anybody at the back of the room this side, but listen over there, understand this gentleman or parts of what I've said? Parts of it, okay, that's fine. So what parts can't you understand?
Well, never went to church.
Right, okay. But would he have been a spiritual... Oh, okay. Okay, let me just take that back and I'll work out why that was there. But you would understand all of it apart from the church bit. But there would have been younger... he would have been a man of the house as well that would have been quite strong. I know that he would have earned the wages and brought those home to the family. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, because I know I'm feeling a very strong gentleman here, but I'm also feeling that he would have kind of worked with his hands, but also done paperwork as well. Does that make sense for his job? Because I know his job was very important to him, because I know he learnt on the job. Does that make sense to you? Rather than having a whole list of qualifications, I know he learnt on the job, and he rose through the ranks on the job as well. Does that make sense to you? Right, okay, that's fine. As long as I know that he didn't stay digging the holes all of the time, because I know that there was progression through his job, through knowledge as well, because he was more happier rather than receiving instructions. It's let me go and have a look at the job and I'll tell you what's needed, because he was very much hands-on that way, that type of person. He couldn't have been locked in an office 8 hours a day. He had to be out on the road enjoying what he was doing. He was a man that loved to get his hands dirty, because I'm just seeing all of that happening there with him. I also know with this gentleman that he was like a... Right, okay, this is not going to describe him perfectly, but I'm feeling he was a man of thoughts. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, because it's as if I know I'm like a seesaw. 1 minute it's like up and down, yes and no. And as I'm talking seesaw as well, there has to be memories of him with you at a playground. Or playing certainly with things like that in a playgroup. Does that make sense to you? Or would that have been Mum that took you?
It's not my father.
All right, okay. There has to be memories of... He has to have been a father, this gentleman. Does that make sense to you? But he's not, maybe not your father, but he has to be a father. Does that make sense to you? Because that's how he's making me feel. He's making me feel I'm father. Because I know I want to speak to my daughter. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, okay, because I'm just feeling that very strongly there with him. And there has to be memories of family outings where the children would have played. Does that make sense to you? Great, because I know he loved those times. He loved those family times with him. Does that make sense to you? Because he's very much a man. He didn't change nappies though. Does that make sense to you? But I know that he didn't like babies, but he loved children. Does that make sense to you? Because he could interact with them and he could help you grow and help you. And that's where I want to feel the words of wisdom come in. Does that make sense to you? Because I know that he would have been, even though he was but he would allow you to make your own mistakes, but not judge you. Right. He would never chastise you if you made a mistake. No. Right, yeah. Would your mum have chastised you if you made a mistake? Yeah, they can. All right, thank you. Sorry, she's just... sorry about that. I take that back. Would your mum have had religious beliefs as well? Okay, all right, thank you. So I just know that they fitted somewhere. With what was happening there, so I do apologise about that. But your mum is very naughty. Yeah, okay. So thank you. So apologies about those bits of information that weren't there for you. But I just want to say is if there has to be an anniversary that would link in with this gentleman that is around now, very strongly with him, because it's as if you're here to celebrate that. Does that make sense to you? In the sense of speaking to him.
I do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You have conversations with him all the time.
Not anymore.
All right. Okay. Am I mixing that up? You have the You two of you must be very close. Yeah. Okay. Because I'm just feeling as if there was lots of conversations that had them now. I'm asking why he's come through, and it's as if he's saying that. You're finding your own belief system, and it's as if you, like the philosophy, you've opened the door and the windows to some form of belief that is now transforming you. Does that make sense to you? Because it's as if there's something really strongly resonating with you in the belief of what we now believe and know. Does that would make sense to you? Because I've got a sensible man here. Absolutely so sensible, and it's as if he wouldn't wrong foot you. Does that make sense to you? I'm going to stay with him because because he has a belief in the way that he is. Does that make sense to you? And it was as if he was not right all of the time, but about a good 90% of the time that he felt he was right. Does that make sense to you? And he also wants to say, and I feel very strong, he was a very strong man, wasn't he? Not a bully type man, but very strong. You're going to say he wouldn't have seen himself as a bully. Does that make sense too? No. Okay. So I know I've got a strong gentleman here, but he wants to say thank you for the help you gave him towards the end of his life. Okay, and he's never really thanked you for being his daughter. Does that make sense to you?
At the end.
Yeah, okay, because I'm just aware that he wants everybody to know who you are. He wants everybody to recognise the help that you gave him. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, your mum's quite naughty, isn't she? I just knew I was getting those bits right. I was like, where's that linking in? And she just stepped in that little bit closer there. But I have asked her to step back to an appropriate time. But
Good luck with that.
yeah. Okay, I do have a lady stepping into my energy now, and I've got quite a rotund lady here with me. She was quite ample. I know that she would have needed quite a bit of support towards the end of her life, and I know that there would have been quite a lot of medication that was needed to be taken there as well. And I know that I would have lost quite a lot of ability to speak right towards the very end of my life, because I know I've become quite frail, even though I was quite rotund, quite frail as a lady. I also know, as I'm linking in with this lady, I know that I would have had a voice that was certainly would have been heard. I know that this has to be Mum, because that's how she's making me feel. I know I've got a lady who would have, gosh, I'm getting confused, and I don't know whether she's confusing me or whether she had confusion, so just bear with me. I know that this lady would have liked to have her hair done, and I know that that was quite important right up until about the last year of her life, when she really kind of stopped being able to care for herself, and that's exactly how I feel. She looked after herself, but the ability to care for herself was now beginning to get lost with her. I know that she would have needed support, and I'm seeing that as like a frame or a walking stick that she would have needed, something like that to get around the house, certainly around the house, and going out. There was a lot of restrictions placed on her ability to do that as well. But again, I know that she was very good about giving instructions. I know that she was very good about having her voice. It's like she didn't really lose her voice, even though sometimes you kind of wish that she did, but she didn't. Does anybody understand this lady? You would understand all of that, and the very diplomatic way I'm putting her.
She wouldn't have done.
Yeah, I'm aware that she was very, very direct, to the point of being hurtful. Does that make sense? But not intentionally. It was, yeah, it was as if she would just give it all off, and it would be her frustrations as well. And especially if she got older and unable to do more of the things that she liked to do. Does that make sense to you? I know as well, it's as if the family really took her on board though towards the end of her life, because I know that you had to do it without her knowing. Lots of help, that would make sense to you. And it's as if all like things like bill paying had to be given to her but taken away from her as well. Does that make sense to you? In the sense of you needed to make sure that everything was sorted.
No, she made sure and passed it over.
Yeah, I knew that there has to have been, she sorted, but she didn't have the final. If I said it was not rechecked, but it was made sure that everything was paid and everything was sorted. Does that make sense to you? I'm going to stay with her, because I know with her she wouldn't let you have the last word. Does that make sense to you as well? So I know it's as if she knew how much she had in the bank to the last penny, but also that she sorted it, but she then would have passed it over to somebody else to sort out. Does that make sense? Or am I not? I'm not describing it correctly.
Not quite, but
yeah, okay, that's fine, because I just know. Because I know that with this lady, I wasn't educated, but I was not a fool.
No, not at all.
I was not a fool to be tried to be had over. And if you tried to have me over, it was both barrels with an extra one in the pocket. Does that make sense to you? Because I know that's how she's making me feel. I know that this lady would have loved her family, absolutely adored them. And she had a cracking sense of humour. Oh my gosh, she was as sharp as a knife with this humour, because I know it's like if you didn't get her, you're going like, oh, that was rude. But the family would be in hysterics because you know what she was talking about and what she'd done as well. I also want to say with you as well that this lady would have had mints in every pocket and every bag. That she had, because I'm just going in my pocket, there's no, I'll go in that one, and or my handbag, so I know that there was mints around for her as well. And I also know that this lady loved receiving birthday gifts and Christmas gifts, but if you dare spend a fortune on her, She liked the simplest of gifts bought with love, because I know that they would have been placed around the house as well, and she knew who bought what when they bought it. So I know it was like a love of history in our house, because I also know with this lady that there would have been pictures that meant a lot to her on the walls as well, and on the furniture as well, because I know she's making me aware of that. But her humour coming, they always bought me dust collectors and things like that, but she loved them. She absolutely adored them.
They had to go in cupboards because they were untidy.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what she's making me aware of. But I also know this lady actually earned a lot of respect, because I know that you didn't go into her bedroom unless you were told you could go in there. I know that, I want to call it the living room, but she calls it the parlour, where I know that the telly was. Does that make sense to you? So I know, again, I've got a lady here who liked her programmes, who liked Pacific programmes, and woe behold if you even spoke when one of them on was. But she was also very good at telling the children to get up there and change the channel. It was this, once she sat there, she was in her domain.
Yeah, that's right.
I also know she was very good at telling you to put the kettle on when it was tea time, and making the cups of tea and bringing them into her, because she's making me aware of it. But you spilt anything in there, you would know about it. Anywhere in the house, but in her sanctuary, I want to call it, it was as if nothing was allowed to be spilt, certainly, in there as well. I know I got a lady, again, she's making me aware, gosh, her health really suffered at the end, because I'm feeling it's as if there's no part of me that's not hurting with everything that's going on. And it was as if in the end I really got fed up with the doctors and the hospitals, and I was begging you not to take me, just allow me to.
She used to make the appointments, and I used to have to go without her.
Yeah, because it was literally begging you not to take her to them.
Phone me up and tell me I got a doctor's appointment. Talk about her.
But she knew that you would tell it as it was. Does that? And she was a sort of lady. Yeah, everything's fine.
Yep.
Everything's fine. Yeah, it's not. But you would tell them how it was and what was happening with that. And it's as if again she's going back to the help that everybody gave her, and specifically you. Because I know that you've done a lot that even the family don't know about, that she doesn't know about, but now she does. Does that make sense to you with what's happening? But then she must have had problems with her teeth at the end as well, because it's like I can see, I was like, I'm not wasting my time with those there, and just eat what she wanted to as well.
No, she had a thing about not being buried without her teeth. And I had to make sure they were in properly.
Yeah, because I'm just made aware that them slipping out with her as well. But
She lost the weight.
yeah, when you weren't there though, it was I could just leave them out.
I never saw that.
Oh right, okay. Well, I'm aware that the teeth aren't always in where they're supposed to be with her there. I love her. It's like she knew when you always arranged an appointment with her. You never just turned up. You always let her know when you were coming, so the teeth went in. Okay, and that's what she's making me feel. But you know that that's the sort of thing she would do.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm just asking while she's come through now, and I want to say very much it is a thank you again, and it's just to let you know as well that whatever's happening with you is you need to stick with it. Okay? You just need to bear with it, because I want to say she's on your side, okay? And if she's on your side, then you know you've done right. Does that make sense to you? That you haven't done anything wrong, okay? But she's on your side. Well, could I say that she would want to put her boxing gloves on and come down and box somebody more than what have you? But she's just saying, if you could just bear with what you're doing.
That was the confirmation I needed. Thank you.
Yeah. That you are doing the right thing, but you have to maintain it, okay? And she's saying, she knows that you are used as a punching bag at the moment. Okay, and you would understand the symbology of that. Okay,
Yeah.
right. I want to say take her love, but she said I never give my love to no. Very much, but she does love you.
Thank you.
Absolutely adores you. Absolutely. Have a cake for her.
Thank you.
Have a cake for me, she says. We'll have two and we'll have one each. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
And it has to be with a cup of tea.
Yep.
Has to be with a cup of tea.
Because she was diabetic and she used to eat the cakes and say they were diabetic.
Yeah. But she was. But she's really wants you to understand that she's with you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Lovely. We made our congregation cry. Thank you so much. Few notices for the week. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, we have a demonstration of evidential mediumship, and this month has been taken by Phyllis Rumney. So doors open at 6:30, entry by donation, and the evening commences at 7 o'clock. This coming Saturday between 12 and 3:30, we have a small workshop with Julianne Harper, who is our guest for the weekend. And the workshop is based on self-presence, self-energy and self-empowerment. We're trying a shorter workshop just to see how it goes, because in this day and age everything is changing constantly, as are we. So we welcome back Julianne Harper, who is staying with us for the weekend, so she'll be taking our divine service next Sunday at 11 o'clock. By the door there are 2 bags of hand towels. We had a little clear out the other day. If anyone's going past any of the PDSA or any of the animal charities, I know they like towels. If you could take them on and drop them off for us, that'd be great. Thank you very much. That concludes the notices. I would now like to ask the lovely Anne-Marie for the closing blessing. Thank you.
If I could ask you to join me in the closing prayer. Divine Spirit, we thank you for coming close to us today, for sharing your words of wisdom and showing that life is continuous and that you are there helping and guiding us when needed. We thank you for making your presence felt so strongly. We ask that you share our divine spirit with one another. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
For stepping
Really
in.
is.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Just worked wonderfully.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. For without you, we'd look pretty silly up here talking to ourselves. So thank you for being here. Beautiful day, a bit of sunshine, such a change from yesterday's weather. Let's go out and enjoy that gift of a lovely day. But thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you. You're up with people coming to say-
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not prudish. I'm not kind of like.
If you wish to come up and have a chat with
I am what you see.